Good morning, everybody. My name is Barry Schwartz, and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, May 31st. We got a lot to talk about. Google ranking data leak, huge news. Probably one of the biggest stories, I think, ever for Google. Memorial Day, Google volatility. Google Search Console link report declines. Google responds to their AI overviews debacle, and so much more. So definitely stay tuned. I'd like to thank our sponsor, SEMrush. Have you tried the SEMrush keyword builder? Using AI and SEMrush keyword data, this tool assesses the relevance between your domain's core topics and potentially new topics. Check it out at the URL in the video description below. And thank you, SEMrush, for sponsoring. Okay, let's get into the big topic of this week. Google had a major search data ranking features, elements, signals leak. Over 14,000 API references of potentially everything related to, not everything, but a lot was related to Google search rankings. Other things related to like Google Assistant and seems like YouTube and other things have been released. Now, it goes through literally some ranking algorithms and stuff that we've heard of, like obviously Panda, Kawati, like a lot of things. And it also has a lot of things that, we didn't know about and things that Google denied. I'm sure you've seen this already. There's a lot to go through, but there's basically over 14,000 different ranking features in this document. They have something called the site authority ranking feature, which again, Google has denied that Google used domain authority, but in the past several years, Google did say that there were site level ranking signals. It goes through obviously nav boost, which we just found from the Department of Justice, talks about clicks and click-through rates and bad clicks and good clicks and all that types of stuff. They even reference a sandbox. So there's lots of stuff in here in this document. This was released by Rand Fishkin in conjunction with Mike King, who did an amazing analysis and dug through it really, really deeply. And basically it was released by somebody at Google without them knowing, I believe. It was some type of like mistake probably where they released it to the public. And the person who found this was Erfan Azimi, who released a video saying basically he wants the truth to be out there. Now, this is really detailed. You could go through the document, but then Google responded after a couple of days of being quiet on this, spoke to Google about it directly, and basically Google basically admitted there was a leak. They didn't say anything about malicious or not. They didn't get into the legal stuff with me. I did ask. But basically, Google said, and I'll read the statement to you, we caution against making inaccurate assumptions about search based on the out of context, outdated, and incomplete information. We've shared extensive information about how search works and the types of factors that our systems weigh, while also working to protect the integrity of our results from manipulation. I mean, basically Google's saying here that while all this data is out there, yes, it may not be used the way you think because it might be taken out of context. It may not, the signals might not be, the stuff that's talked about there may never have been used. It may have been used for testing. It may have never been used, may have been used for a study or something like that. It might not be even used for Google search. It might be used for something else. So while, for example, Google might talk about clicks in this study, Google may maybe use that for just previous query or for maybe like stuff they've talked about, or maybe they've used it for tracking stuff for quality raters and stuff like that, but not for core ranking. It's hard to know, but this stuff is just amazing. I mean, the effort that Rand and Mike King put into this, and then all the subsequent stories that are being pushed out there by SEOs, it's been amazing to read. And I definitely recommend you check a look at this really closely. But I do recommend also being a little bit cautious and saying, oh, I'm going to throw all my money at, DA, or I'm going to throw all my money at, I don't know, paying people to click on my search results from India, whatever it might be. I would not recommend that, but at the same time, I definitely recommend you look through this because it's a treasure trove of information. Also, Google commented over the past few weeks since Google launched AI overviews like 2.5 weeks ago at I.O., there's been a lot of discussion and examples of really, really embarrassing AI overviews. And Google's Liz Reed, the head of Google Search, the new head of Google Search, responded to that. It was I think, a really thoughtful response. And she went through it in pretty much detail and basically said, overall, people are loving it. There's some bad examples that were shared. Some of those bad examples were real. Some of those bad examples were faked. And she said 1 out of every 7 million unique queries where AI overviews have appeared were policy violating. So very few actually were policy violating. And Google said, we'll keep improving these things over time. Basically, they're here to stay. Google went through a bunch of things around this, but Mike King, rightfully so, wants to call this the Ray update. So yeah, let's call it the Ray update. Let's call it the Ray Google AI Overviews update. The first Google, where Google went through and posted a bunch of changes on what they made. But going back to what went wrong, I was surprised that AI overviews, that she said AI overviews don't generally hallucinate. They don't make things up because they're backed supposedly by search, and search is going to go in and validate those types of things. So basically, they went through a lot of things. I'm not going to go through all of these and some examples of why it went bad, which is very interesting to read. But basically, Google said they made a bunch of changes, but Google won't make changes to individual queries. Instead, they're making changes to the algorithm. They say Google built a better detection mechanism for nonsensical queries that shouldn't show up for AI reviews, and limited the inclusion of satire and humor content, so like The Onion and Reddit maybe comments. Google updated systems to limit the use of user-generated content in response to misleading advice. Again, not show Reddit information. Google added trigger restrictions for queries where AI overviews were not proving to be as helpful. For topics like news and health, they put in new guardrails. And topics for like news and so forth, topics, freshness and factuality are important. And then in cases of health, Google said it was launched additional triggers to environments to enhance their quality. So it's funny, I just spoke to like a bunch of reporters over the past week, and I said Google should do all this type of stuff, and it looks like they did, which is good. And I hope this Ray update actually improves things going forward with the AI overviews, but Google AI overviews are here to stay, so keep that in mind. Back to the typical news, those are two big stories. And now Google also had some search ranking volatility over Memorial Day weekend. The tools themselves all lit up. The chatter was pretty high. So starting around Sunday, May, 26th or so, 27th, there definitely was some significant ranking chatter and ranking volatility over there. Also, Google Search Console seems to be having issues with their link report. I reported on Monday that a lot of people started to notice the link report started to drastically decline. And then yesterday, it seemed to have a much more significant decline where people were showing 0 links in the Google Search Console link report, and some people showing 40 to 50 to 90% less links in the Google Search Console link report. Daniel Weisberg from Google said he's looking into this and investigating it, so we'll see what happens there. I don't have a new post on this, but Google did update us on the product snippets search appearance filter in the performance report, basically saying they fixed the issue and so forth. So yeah, that was a bug with the Google Search Console problem there. Google has updated its spam report to add 2 new spam things you can report, specifically the site reputation abuse spam and the expired domain abuse spam. And they also added that to the Google Help documentation. They added this yesterday, so keep that in mind. John Mueller, again, out with some Google core advice, SEO advice. He basically responded on Reddit basically saying it's probably not probably all related to server issues. It's probably not all related to removing ads. It's probably not all to disavowing links. It's probably not all to buying new links. Switching to a new SEO plugin probably won't help you. He basically threw the whole Glenn Gabe kitchen sink at it. But then he kind of ended basically saying, consider that you've possibly had a good run already, and that you maybe should try what you've learned on a new project. Basically, maybe this topic is no longer good for you, and maybe you should move on. So that kind of got a lot of anger response, but I mean, sometimes you gotta like take your wins and your losses and move on. But again, I like the whole I shared it mostly because of the kitchen to sink approach, not because of that one line. And then Danny Sullivan responded again to complaints about Google's search quality and features. And basically, when people were searching for their name and a topic and a query, their site wasn't coming up. So if you search for Search Engine Roundtable and click-through rates, maybe third-party websites would show up and not Search Engine Roundtable. So Danny Sullivan said, yes, I definitely agree the website that's being mentioned should show up, and we'll do things to improve, yada, yada, yada. Going back to AI overviews for a second, I probably should have mentioned this above, but basically Google AI overviews has updated their help documentation to link to say, hey, if you don't want AI overviews, you can use the web-only results link, which removes everything, including AI overviews and videos and images and everything else. And then it shows web links. And also Google AI overviews document talks about how you can submit feedback to make Google improve. This was spotted by Gagan, so thanks a lot for spotting this and letting me know. This week, a lot of people noticed that the Google Discover feed wasn't loading for a bunch of people. I think it was affecting a lot of people with Pixel devices. It seems to have been fixed. Google said they fixed it a couple days ago, but a lot of people were complaining that the Google Discover feed on their Google homepage was not loading for them. So you may have noticed a little dip in traffic if you get a lot of Google Discover traffic. There were 2 conflicting studies around Google AI overviews this week. Not this week, but the past couple weeks. One was from Ross Hudgens, and one was from Kevin Ng. And the Ross Hudgens was published at Siege Media, who basically showed there was an increase of click-through rates from those AI reviews to his clients by 4%. It was a totally different industry, and he kind of measured it differently than Kevin. And Kevin from Growth Memo posted that there was like a 9% decline. One says 4% increase, one says 9% decline. Again, different industry. He actually measured it, I think, a little bit better. But you're going to see a lot of these things out there. We want to know how the click-through rate will be with these AI reviews. So people are doing studies, but we got to kind of get the studies to be done in sync. So we'll see what happens with that. Google is testing large visit buttons with blue large visit buttons in the mobile search results. Here's a screenshot from Shaheem. Nice find there. Google's also testing the shopping deals feature as a top thin bar right under the search tools feature, as you can see here. This is spotted by Umair Khan. I can't replicate this, but there was a nice find there, and I think other people are actually spotting this now as well. Google Business Profiles. Google's announced that the Google Business Profiles call history and chat features are going away as of July 31st. Most people are like, I never knew it existed. I never knew it was there. And people are also upset that the call history is very good data is going away. And I asked Google if this is related to privacy, and Google said no, it's related to pretty much relatively little use compared to other features. So that's going away. Keep that in mind. You can always download your stuff right now up until July 31st. Also, Google Maps has added wheelchair accessibility icons to Google Business Profiles in Google Maps only, not in Google Search. I think this is new. Ben Fisher spotted this as well as Anuj. So nice find there. Google has announced that if you have any Google Ads experiments without an end date set, you didn't set the end date, Google will set the end date for you to end on August 23rd. If you want to extend that, you can manually extend that by setting an actual end date, but you can't keep these experiments running forever. You need to set an end date going forward, or Google will set it for you. And finally, I posted a poll asking SEOs, do you trust Google? Will you trust Google going forward after this whole data leak? And we had about 1,700 plus responses, and only 10% said they would trust Google going forward after this, which is interesting because I did this poll literally a decade ago, and the same 10% of SEOs said they will trust Google. Only 10% of SEOs said they trust Google 10 years ago, and still, I guess the same 10%, probably less, a little whatever, said they only trust Google going forward. Anyway, it's been a fun week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the news. But definitely dig into the Search League. It's really good documentation. Again, thanks to Rand and to Mike King and to everybody who is digging into this. And everyone have a great, safe, healthy weekend. Again, thanks to SEMrush for sponsoring. Deeply appreciate it. Everyone have a great weekend. Be safe. Bye-bye.